just like they must like my body. That's it. Okay. Okay. Zion Aleph. The following of Baharis that are Tahar. Baharis that person that before the Torah was given, that were on a Gentile converted, or a newborn child, or fold of a skin that became revealed on the head, or on the beard, on a raw boil, burn, or wound. Literally a boil or a burn, or a wound, or the rebellious ones. If the head first or the beard then became bald, or the boil then the burn, or the wound because partially healed, their tahor. A negro appeared on the head or the beard before they grew hair, then they grew hair, and subsequently became bald, or boil, burn, or wound that did not yield scab, then a scab formed and the boil, burn, or wound healed. Rabbi Eliezer Yaakov tenders these cases tamei, since they began and ended as tamei, since the sages rendered them tahor. The appearances change either leniently, not leniently if it was like the snow and it became like the lime of the sanctuary, like white wool, or like white membrane, it became a secondary shade from the deceased, or it became a secondary shade from intense white. How stringently it was like an egg member and became like white wool, like the lime of the sanctuary, or like snow. The Elazar Hazaria rendered tahor. Elazar Kisma says if it changed leniently, it is tahor. If it changed stringently, it must be examined anew. Rabbi Kiva says whether it is changed leniently or stringently, it must be examined anew. Going to provide Bahara started nothing inside it either initially or at the end of the first week. If at the end of the second week, or the end or after the nega has become tahor, he should make a tahor. He should make a tahor. If it was still dividing or tearing a tahor when it develops symptoms of tumor, he should confirm it. The Kohen should confirm Bahara that symptoms of tumor inside it. If it was still confirming it, and when the symptoms of tumor appeared, or initially or at the end of the first week, he confines it. If at the end of the second week or after the nega became tahor, he should make it tahor. Okay.
Ooh, you okay? You sound like you're battling to talk.
Battling everything.
Yeah.
Really, terrible. All right, it's not a. I'm not catching. It's nothing. It's just whatever. All right, I have one more. No,
you did up to the end of Gimel, right?
Yeah, I get to Gimel. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so now let's say somebody has got a Baharis and it's got hair in it. It's got white hair, and he decides he's going to remove the Simanei Tumah. Okay, but or he burns the healthy skin inside his Baharis, so that it shouldn't be a Siman Tumah. Okay, he's violated a negative commandment from the Torah, that you're not allowed to hishamer b'nega hataras lishmor me'od v'lasos k'chol asher yoru eschem hakohanim ha'levim, etc. Okay, so the whole thing of hishamer is a lo taseh of the nega, that you're not allowed to that you're not allowed to take out the white hair or the mechia. Okay, right. So ulatara. So what happens if he did this? So now he's
listen, Shaw. I'm listening. They make me think. I don't feed the banana. Okay, guys. What happens here?
Are you feeding the cat? Okay. All right. So what happens now in terms of his tumah and tara? The guy actually went and removed the hair, or he burnt his healthy skin.
Right.
If it's happened before the Kohen took a look at him, for sure he's tahor, because he's in the chazaka of being tahor. So he stays that way. He did the wrong thing, but en malasot. But the avad, he stays tahor. La'achar hechleto. And after he has been confirmed as tameh, well, too bad, mate. If you took out the simanim, we can't declare you tahor. So you gotta stay there. Amar Rabbi Akiva, Sha'alti is Rabban Gamliel ves Rabbi Yeshua holchin legadvad. So we have a few of these cases where Rabbi Akiva catches Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua on their way to market, on their way to this, on the way to that. Okay, but he says, well, what about b'toch heskero? We know about before he's seen the Kohen. We know after he's been muchlat. What happens if he's in quarantine and he sees the hair and he pulls it out, or he sees the mechia and he burns it? Okay, Amrlo lo shamanu. We actually don't have a Masorah for this. Aval shamanu ad shelo ba'etzel kohen tahor la'achar hechleto tameh. And they repeated the halacha that we learned at the beginning of this Mishnah, that we know what happens before he saw the kohen, and we know what happens after he's muchlat. Ischalti mevi lehim rayos. And Rabbi Akiva says, I brought them some proofs. Echad omed bifnei hakohen ve'echad besoch hesgero tahor. Is whether he's he hasn't seen the kohen yet, or whether he's in his quarantine, he should remain tahor. He cannot be called muchlat until the kohen has seen him, has declared him tameh. Okay, so he stays in his current status of being in quarantine. And how does he become tahor? Rabbi Eliezer omer lo nega acher v'yitar mimenu. So Rabbi Eliezer here is quite a tough, is quite tough on him, and says, look, in order for him to come out of his hesker, oh wait, hang on, this is tahara. So if he is, if he actually, sorry, this must be if he is been muchlat. Let me see. So shel yes, after he's muchlat. So after he's been declared tameh, and he gets so angry and he pulls out the hairs now. So now he cannot become tahor from the hair from the hairs falling out, because he is he pulled them out himself. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer says, how does he do it? Only when he gets another nega and he becomes tameh from that, the tahor from that one. Then we can say that Hashem has already said, okay, he's done his time, and we can let him go. Okay. And the Chachamim say, look, he's got a couple of options. Either his nega can spread and make him kulo lavan, and that'll make him tahor, or achtis might bahar mikagris, or the baharit itself could shrink to less than a gris, and then and once it's shrunk, then we know for sure that even if it had hairs, it would still be tahor, because once it's small, once it has shrunk. So Rabbi Eliezer is stricter. He says even if it shrinks and disappears, we punish him for it's a knas on him for having tampered with his nega, that we don't allow him to become tahor from this particular nega. Okay, Mishna, hey, Misha haisa bo baheris. So he had a baheris v'niktzatza, and he actually took a razor blade and cut off the piece of skin where the nega was. So the previous one was where he cut off the hair, or he burned the healthy skin. Now he's taking the actual nega and burned it off. Okay, tahora. Okay, well, that's, I guess he's tahor. So this is what happens if it happens by accident. So he fell and got a scrape, and the scrape exactly knocked out his nega. You say, oh wow, lucky me. He's now tahor. But that's if it's an accident. Kitzatzami miskavein, if he did it deliberately. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, he said he cannot become tahor. He has to get another nega and become tahor from that. The nega needs to spread all over him, or he has to get a nega that he has to go hafach kulo lavan in order to become tahor. Okay, Isa berosh haorla. Now, what happens if a person gets a nega on his foreskin? So we're talking about, let's say, a baby. Tzarat is possible by a baby, even though it's supposedly a punishment for lashon hara, but theoretically it is still possible for a nega to appear on a baby, or it could appear on, let's say, well, I suppose it can't happen on a ger before he converts. So it's difficult to think of a hechitimtza where you could have an adult Jew with who's ready to have a bris milah. Anyway, but the fact is that if you have a nega on the foreskin, so you have a negative commandment not to cut it off, but you have a positive commandment to do a bris milah, and this is one of the cases where we say that a positive commandment trumps a negative commandment, and we still do the bris milah even though it involves the negative, and we have a few of those which we deal with in the This was in in Yavamas, in the Gemara Yavamas, in the beginning of the Gemara Yavamas, we talk about an aseh dochi lo taseh.
Right. Okay.
Okay. All right. Mishnah Aleph. Haporeach minatame tahor. So let's say, so if somebody has been has a nega on themselves, which has been declared either tame or has been sent into quarantine, and then the nega spreads until it covers his entire body. So now we have hafach kulo lavan tahor. Okay, that is considered tahor once he's completely white. Chazru bo roshe evarim. And if it shrank back a little bit, just even his fingertips, tame. This is now he now reverts to tuma because now he's not hafach kula lavan. As soon as you have healthy skin appearing inside there, it's once again tame. Ad shetisma et bahar tomi kagris.
No, I'm talking about the cat scratch. Okay.
Until the nega shrinks back to be the size of a kagris. Of less than a kagris at least. Mina tahor. Now, what happens if a person has a tahor nega, right? How does a person have a tahor nega? Because a nega appeared on his body and he went into quarantine and he stayed there for 2 weeks without it growing or developing a white hair or developing a michya. Okay, tahor. So it's called a tahor. And then suddenly the thing spreads all over his body. Oh, that's tame. Because the first nega we said is tahor. And once it spreads from that all over his whole body, you can't count the tahor piece as part of kula lavan. So there is no heter of kula lavan for somebody who's got a tahor nega on his body. This
would be before the Kohen said he was tummy. He was still tahor. He was tahor because of
he was tahor because he was in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Right.
And it didn't spread and it didn't grow white hair and it didn't get a healthy patch in the middle. So the Kohen said, "Okay, go home. You're fine." So he's walking around happily with this white patch, and he's completely tahor. And then the white patch expands suddenly and covers his entire body. Okay, so because it came out from something that was tahor, that tahor piece doesn't count as part of the hafach kulo lavan. That's considered healthy skin as far as this is concerned. So therefore, he's not considered hafach kulo lavan. That one little patch is still tahor. Okay, so therefore he's tameh. And now if he gets back healthy skin, still tameh. Until the baharis shrinks back down to the original size that it was when we declared it tahor.
Okay.
And now you pretty need to go, right?
I need to go. And tomorrow I won't be.